Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my second episode of my review for WWE Marquee matches. If you want to check out episode 1, I'm going to leave a link to the playlist down in the description box below. And I figured since today is the greatest Royal Rumble, now you're probably wondering why I'm not watching it right now. That's because I came home, that's because I was at school throughout like the first hour what happened, and I figured if I want to do a live reactions to it, I'll come home and it's gonna come on like live again on the WWE Network at like 5 o'clock. So I'll watch it then. But that's why I haven't done the live reactions yet. I have a ton of other videos I have to do first. I have to do this video, then the other marquee matches, and then I have to do the wrestling rundown. Which reminds me, don't forget that I am the wrestling rundown undisputed heavyweight champion. Now that I got that out of the way, let's talk about today's marquee match. So I guess the WWE wanted to show some past Royal Rumble matches because the greatest Royal Rumble is coming up, and we have the 50-man Royal Rumble. So I think it made sense to show some past Royal Rumble matches. The last one was the 1992 Royal Rumble, and this one, as you can tell from the title, is going to be the 2008 Royal Rumble match. Now, obviously, I'm gonna kind of set the scene for you. A lot has changed since the 1992 Royal Rumble match, because I talked about how on that show, and I forgot to mention too, the host for this marquee match, the host for this show was Charlie Caruso. She kind of broke down the history of this matchup a little bit, but I'm gonna kind of do that myself. So in 1992, like I talked about, for the first time, the WWE. Well, at the time, it was WWF, but for the first time, the WWE had put something on the line for the Royal Rumble matches, because they would just have the Royal Rumble match, and all you would win for winning is bragging rights. Well, in 1992, they put the WWE Championship on the line, and obviously we know who ended up winning that, as I talked about in the last one. Well, after that, in 1993 was the first time they ever brought up the stipulation where if you won the Royal Rumble match, you would get a championship match at WrestleMania. It was the first time they did it was in 1993. And now we're at 2008, and a lot's even changed since 1993. Now the WWF is known as the WWE, and there's a brand split. Originally, in 2002, the WWE broke the brand, broke both Monday Night Raw and SmackDown into two separate shows, and each wrestler would separate to different shows. But then in 2006, WWE added a third brand, which was the rebranded ECW, which was a company that went out of business back in 2001 that was bought out by Vince McMahon. And then obviously Vince McMahon brought it back probably just to kind of really shit on ECW, because it was pretty much, it was pretty much just a show that had like under mid-card, upper mid-card guys, and it was and that's really what ECW was. So obviously ECW was involved here. But then obviously I forgot to mention too, originally, since there was only one championship, which was the WWE Championship, the winner of the Royal Rumble would just challenge for the WWE Championship. But then when the brand split was brought in, they've kind of changed the rules. But in from 2003 up until 2004, originally you would fight for whatever brand's championship you were on. If you won the Royal Rumble match, so for example, if a SmackDown guy won it, a SmackDown guy would fight for the SmackDown's World Championship. But then in 2004, that was changed when Chris Benoit, who obviously is forgotten about, won the Royal Rumble, and he chose to go over to Monday Night Raw to challenge Triple H and Shawn Michaels for the World Heavyweight Championship. So then it was made a yearly tradition where whoever won the Royal Rumble match got to choose whether they wanted to fight for the WWE Championship or the World Heavyweight Championship. And then obviously when ECW was brought into the fold, then the third championship that was chosen was the ECW Championship. Now the way they built up this match was what I used to like about the Royal Rumble qualifying matches was they used to have, what I used to like the build up to the Royal Rumble was they would have qualifying matches to decide who was going to be in the match. I kind of missed that they did those. I kind of wish they would still do those. So let me kind of go over some of the people that were in the Royal Rumble match that qualified for the Royal Rumble match. So Umaga defeated Hacksaw Jim Duggan on the December 31st episode of Raw. Snitsky defeated Drew McIntyre at a Raw house show on January 4th. December 31st was in 2007, and then it starts to get to 2008 once it hits January 4th. Hardcore Holly, who was one half of the World Tag Team Champions at this time, defeated Trevor Murdoch at a Raw house show on January 5th. John Morrison and The Miz defeated Jimmy Wayne Yane and Shannon Moore on a SmackDown/ECW house show on January 6th. Hornswoggle and Mick Foley defeated the Highlanders on an episode of Monday Night Raw on January 7th. Jamie Noble defeated Chuck Palumbo on the January 11th episode of SmackDown. Cody Rhodes defeated William Regal on the January 11th Raw house show. Carlito and Santino Marella defeated D.H. Smith and Super Crazy on the January 12th episode Raw house show. Shawn Michaels defeated Trevor Murdoch on the January 14th episode of Monday Night Raw. And then throughout this build up to the Royal Rumble, they were building up Triple H. And they were building him up on how he really fought for this spot and tried to earn his spot in the Royal Rumble match. On the December 31st episode of Monday Night Raw, I remember because it was the last Raw of 2007, he had a career-threatening match with Ric Flair, where if Ric Flair lost, he would have to retire, and if Triple H lost, he would have to he would forfeit his right to compete in the Royal Rumble match. Well, due to interference by William Regal by attacking Ric Flair, Triple H ended up losing the match by DQ, and Triple H was unable to compete in the Royal Rumble match, and he just went on an absolute tirade, beating William Regal in First Blood matches, destroying the Titantron, and it got to the point where Vince McMahon finally had enough and gave Triple H one final chance to compete in the Royal Rumble match, and William Regal got to pick his opponents. Well, here's who his opponents were. This was on the January 21st episode of Monday Night Raw. Triple H defeated Snitsky, Mark Henry, and William Regal in an over-the-top rope gauntlet match. So there's who he defeated. Let me go back to the Hornswoggle storyline. In September of 2007, in 2007, when Vince McMahon obviously came back from his alleged fake death, because obviously he had to come back early from when his limo exploded, and announced that he faked his death because in real life he had to come back and end that storyline because of the death of Chris Benoit. Then we found out that he had an illegitimate child, and obviously the illegitimate child in real life was supposed to be Mr. Kennedy, but because they had the whole steroid scandal going on and 11 wrestlers were suspended, Mr. Kennedy ended up being one of those wrestlers, so they instead went with Hornswoggle, which was dumb, and Hornswoggle wanted Vince McMahon wanted Hornswoggle to win the Royal Rumble match, so he had to choose a tag team partner to team with him to earn the spot, and obviously Mick Foley stepped up, so that was that. And then the last Royal Rumble qualifying match was a January 26th WWE Super Show where CM Punk defeated Chavo Guerrero. Now, CM Punk and Chavo Guerrero had kind of started a feud around this point because on the go-home show of ECW before the Royal Rumble, Chavo Guerrero had defeated CM Punk for the ECW Championship to become the new champion. So CM Punk obviously wanted to get his hands on Chavo Guerrero. So that was that. That was pretty much like the only real background going into this Royal Rumble. What was kind of cool about this Royal Rumble was it was in the Madison Square Garden, which I may be wrong, but I think the last time the Royal Rumble had been in Madison Square Garden had been 8 years in 2000, so I thought that was pretty interesting right there. So now that I've kind of broken all that stuff down, let me go through this. The commentary team for this Royal Rumble, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 commentators on here because 2 of them represented each brand. We had the Raw commentary team of Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler. We had the SmackDown commentary team of Michael Cole and Jonathan Coachman. And we had the ECW commentary team of Joey Styles and Taz. And we had a special guest ring announcer, Michael Buffer, which actually was kind of nice to bring him in here because he's the guy that usually says that typical catchphrase, "Let's get ready to rumble." So that was kind of cool. The WWE got him to be a part of this. And now that I've kind of gone through all that stuff, let's talk about the Royal Rumble match itself. I'm just trying to find it real quick. And then, so we had the first 2 superstars coming into this match. Number 1 was SmackDown's Undertaker, and number 2 was Monday Night Raw's Shawn Michaels. Now, obviously, this made sense because in the Royal Rumble match in 2007, the previous year, these 2 men were the final 2 superstars in the Royal Rumble match, so where Undertaker won. So I actually thought it made a little bit of storyline sense to have these 2 guys start off the Royal Rumble match, and obviously this was kind of like, I mean, I can't really say this was a dream match because they had wrestled before back in the 90s, but it had been a while since we had seen these 2 guys wrestle, since Shawn Michaels had taken 4 years off because he thought he had to retire in 1998, and he didn't come back, and he came back in 2002. But because Undertaker was on SmackDown and Shawn Michaels was on Raw, they never really had much altercations with each other, and they hadn't really touched each other all that much up until since last year's Royal Rumble match. So this was the first time we had really seen Undertaker and Shawn Michaels really go at it. And I thought they had a nice start off to the Royal Rumble. They did a lot of stuff where Undertaker kind of dominated a lot of the portions of the matchup, and Shawn Michaels would continuously move out of the way and try to eliminate the Undertaker. So I actually like this stuff. And then eventually Undertaker lays out Michaels with a big boot. And then number 3 comes out. It's none other than Monday Night Raw's Santino Marella. I thought Santino Marella was awesome in this Royal Rumble match. He was trying to look big and strong by trying to stand up to Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. And then eventually Shawn Michaels hits sweet chin music on him, and then Undertaker just picks him up and dumps him over the top rope. So I thought Santino Marella had an awesome little spot in the Royal Rumble match. I thought it was a nice comedy spot. And then Shawn Michaels tries to eliminate the Undertaker from behind, and Undertaker was able to see it coming, and Undertaker and Shawn Michaels continued to go at it. And then we had the 4th entrant. It was SmackDown's The Great Khali, who was accompanied by his manager, Ranjin Singh. And Great Khali and Undertaker go at it for a little while. Crowd chanted, "You can't wrestle with the Great Khali," because the guy can't wrestle. Obviously, Taker and Khali had a history with each other from 2006 when Khali first came to WWE, and they had the Pujami Prison, the match at Judgment Day, and then the match at SmackDown in the Last Man Standing match. And Undertaker eventually eliminated the Great Khali, and then Shawn Michaels yet again tries to sneak up on the Undertaker, but Undertaker sees it coming again. Michaels and Michaels and Taker continue to go at it. Number 5 comes out. It's Monday Night Raw's one half of the World Tag Team Champions, Hardcore Holly. And Hardcore Holly goes at it, and goes after Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. And I think he ended up hitting a knee on Shawn Michaels that ended up busting open Shawn Michaels. Because after this, Shawn Michaels' nose was busted open pretty much the rest of the match. And then number 6 was ECW's one half of the WWE Tag Team Champions, John Morrison. And I thought Morrison had some nice spots in the Rumble. There were spots where people kept trying to throw him over, and he continuously would just hold on to the ropes. And he hit but Shawn Michaels ended up hitting a body slam and an elbow drop on him. Morrison hit I forget the name of the move, but a springboard spin kick on him. I thought it was pretty cool. And then number 7 was ECW's Tommy Dreamer, which was kind of cool because he's from New York, so he got a nice hometown pop. And I liked how the ECW commentary team put over that typically people are just going to choose to challenge for the World or WWE Championship, but Tommy Dreamer, if he won the Royal Rumble, would challenge for the ECW title. I thought that was funny. And then we had number 8, SmackDown's Batista. I thought Batista had a very good showing in the Royal Rumble match. He went at it pretty much with everybody, and then he started taking everybody out, and then he has a face-off with The Undertaker, and obviously this was a kind of a rekindling of their feud since they had feuded in 2007 for the World Heavyweight Championship when they had the many matches where Undertaker took the championship from WrestleMania 23, and then they had the 2 draws, first at Backlash and the Last Man Standing match, then in the Steel Cage match on an episode of SmackDown, and then Batista beat him at Cyber Sunday to retain the World Heavyweight Championship, and then at Survivor Series, Batista beat him in the Hell in a Cell match thanks to interference from Edge. So obviously, this kind of was a nice little bit of a rekindling of the feud. And eventually, Tommy Dreamer, though, before they can face off or anything, comes in and tries to attack Batista, goes for a DDT on him. Batista reverses it and throws Dreamer over the top rope. And then number 9 was SmackDown's Hornswoggle, and he came out like he was all pumped up, ready to fight. And then when he sees The Undertaker, he gets scared and goes underneath the ring. He was a wasted Rumble spot. Obviously, they were trying to do the whole McMahon storyline, but the McMahon illegitimate son storyline, and that storyline just absolutely sucked because of where it ended up going. And due to this distraction, Batista ends up hitting a spear on The Undertaker, and then then we had number 10. It was SmackDown's Chuck Palumbo. And he went out and started going off on everybody. Everyone kind of booed Palumbo. Then number 11 was SmackDown's Jamie Noble. And he had been all taped up because they were doing an angle at the time with Palumbo and Jamie Noble, where Palumbo beat him up, and he was all taped up from that. And yeah, I really didn't care. It was a really weird storyline. And then so Palumbo and Noble went at it for a while, where Noble tried to beat up Palumbo, but Palumbo hits a front face suplex right under the rope and hangs up Noble on the ropes, and then hits a knee on the hits a knee on Noble, eliminated him, and then medical personnel come out and start checking on Palumbo. Then number 12 was ECW's CM Punk. CM Punk hits high knees on everybody in the corner, and then Undertaker just takes his head off right with the clothesline when he goes for a bulldog on John Morrison. I thought that was pretty cool. And then Palumbo goes to eliminate Punk, and then Punk ends up reversing it, and then he ends up hitting a high knee, eliminating Palumbo. And then we had number 13, Monday Night Raw's World Tag Team one half of the World Tag Team Champions, Cody Rhodes, who was his first Royal Rumble match. And it's definitely interesting to see what Cody Rhodes was like then compared to now. And then number 14 was Monday Night Raw's Umaga. Number 15 was Monday Night Raw's Snitsky. Number 16 was ECW's one half of the WWE Tag Team Champions, The Miz. And he ended up teaming up with John Morrison. I thought they had some nice double team moves. And then I forgot to mention, when Umaga came in, he immediately eliminated Hardcore Holly with the Samoan Spike and just threw him right over the top rope. And then number 17 was ECW's Shelton Benjamin, and he hits a cool springboard thing where he hits a springboard, where he springboards up on the top turnbuckle and hangs up Miz and Morrison, which was really cool. He hits a pay dirt on Punk, and then immediately he gets eliminated by Shawn Michaels with the sweet chin music, and that sends him outside the ring, and he lasted all of 18 seconds in the match. He was pretty much just there for that one spot, so it is what it is. And then we had a cool moment. So then we had number 18. It was free agent Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Now this was a really cool moment because this made sense because this is when the WWE, I know they had done the surprise Royal Rumble appearances before, but this is when the first time they kind of figured out that the surprise entrances were a yearly tradition, and they were a cool moment to have in Royal Rumble matches, to kind of have those nice nostalgic moments. And having Superfly Jimmy Snuka here, even though my feelings on him are different, obviously because of the alleged murder trials that have gone on and stuff, it's still really cool to see him come out there, because it made sense as he was in Madison Square Garden. That's where he had his big moment where he dove off the steel cage. And Superfly Jimmy Snuka obviously didn't look like he was in the best shape, but obviously he didn't really need to be. And Superfly Jimmy Snuka starts going after everybody in this matchup. And Undertaker tries to hit a headbutt on him. He no-sells it and ends up hitting a headbutt on the Undertaker. And then we had number 19. It was free agent Rowdy Roddy Piper. And obviously, this was a cool moment because Rowdy Roddy Piper was part of the main event of the first ever WrestleMania that was in Madison Square Garden. He also was part of WrestleMania 10 in Madison Square Garden, where he refereed the main event WWE Championship match, and um, he also did that segment with Superfly Jimmy Snuka because he comes in and immediately they start going at it, and this reminds you obviously of the famous segment where Roddy Piper and Superfly Jimmy Snuka did the Piper's Pit segment where Piper cracked him over the head with a coconut. So this was a really cool moment, and like the Royal Rumble too, like completely stopped right when he came out too. It was really cool. And then we had number 20. It was SmackDown's Kane, and Kane eliminated both Piper and Snuka, which kind of got him booed a little bit. And I actually thought that was a pretty cool moment. Then we had number 29. It was Monday Night Raw's Carlito. He went for a springboard elbow drop onto Morrison and Punk, but Morrison and Punk caught him like in a wheelbarrow, as if they were going to do a wheelbarrow facebuster position. But Carlito ends up flipping out of it. Punk kicks Morrison in the head, and Carlito hits a backstabber on Punk, which was really cool. I actually forgot to mention it. It really is interesting how over CM Punk was even in 2008. I mean, I know he was always over because he came from the Indies and everything, and everybody really liked CM Punk. But it's definitely interesting how much of a fan following he even had even then, because this was before he did the whole pipe bomb thing and everything. So it's really cool. At number 22 was Monday Night Raw's Mick Foley, which was really cool because he got a nice hometown reaction, and he's had a lot of moments in Madison Square Garden. And then number 23 was Monday Night Raw's Mr. Kennedy. He immediately hits a running knee in the corner right under Cody Rhodes. And I obviously probably missed some eliminations, so let me go over some of them. So, eventually, actually, no, I didn't. So Big Daddy V comes. So the number 24 was ECW's Big Daddy V, and they clearly didn't think his entrance was all that important, considering the fact that he was pretty much an afterthought. Because doing his entrance, Undertaker ended up eliminating Snitsky, and then Shawn Michaels hits a sweet chin music on the Undertaker, and which causes Taker to get eliminated, which was kind of cool because they had built up the story where Shawn Michaels kept trying to sneak up behind the Undertaker and eliminate him. So I thought that was a cool spot. And then Mr. Kennedy sneaks up behind Shawn Michaels and eliminates him. And Undertaker gets pissed, and he ends up attacking Snitsky. He hits a leg drop sort of through the SmackDown announcers table. And that was a pretty cool moment. I obviously liked this because it showed how important winning the Rumble was. So Undertaker reacting the way he did made sense. And I just thought this was some pretty good, cool stuff in the Royal Rumble. And then, and yeah, this was all really cool. This was all just a really cool moment. And then the Miz ended up getting eliminated by Hornswoggle when there was a ton of commotion going on, and he was nearly going to get eliminated. So Hornswoggle popped up out of the wind and eliminated him. So that was whatever. And then we had the continued Rumble entrances. Number 25 was SmackDown's Mark Henry. Number 26 was SmackDown's ECW champion Chavo Guerrero, which CM Punk and him blowed for a while since they had just started their feud, and Guerrero had taken the ECW championship from him. And then there's a spot in the match where I got to make sure I'm going in order with the Royal Rumble eliminations. I may be a little bit out of order. So you're just gonna have to give me a second. So to make sure I have this in order. So so eventually Kane had eliminated John Morrison with a big boot, and then Mark Henry and Chavo Guerrero and um, Mark Henry, Chavo Guerrero, and Big Daddy V were about to, because Hornswoggle tried to come out and eliminate Mark Henry, which was dumb. And Henry pulls him over the top rope, and Finley runs out to make the save. He was supposed to come in next, but he ended up jumping the gun, and Finley took out Big Daddy V, Mark Henry, Chavo Guerrero, and Mr. Kennedy with the shillelagh, and he ended up taking himself and Hornswoggle out, so they ended up just getting eliminated. We found out later on that Finley was disqualified for, it says here, Hornswoggle really only had been in the ring for, it says here that Hornswoggle had been in the ring for 26 minutes and 17 seconds, which really isn't true because he spent most of the time underneath the ring. He didn't really come in until a few seconds before he was eliminated. And Finley ended up getting disqualified for using a weapon in the Royal Rumble match and jumping the gun by failing to wait for his entry number to be called, which was kind of stupid because in the Royal Rumble match, there's supposed to be no DQs, and there's been weapons used before in Rumble matches. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, people have come out during in Royal Rumble matches prior to this, and attacked people. So that didn't really make any sense. I kind of think they should have just used Finley and Hornswoggle's spot for somebody else. And then we had and then eventually we had number so that was number 27 was out. Number 28 was Elijah Burke, which was a waste. He was from ECW. And doing this, Chavo Guerrero ends up eliminating CM Punk, which made sense because they were feuding. And number 29 was Monday Night Raw's Triple H. And Triple H really was there just to clear up the ring because the ring had been pretty full. I think this is the fullest the Rumble probably had ever been for a Royal Rumble match. And Triple H ended up eliminating let me make sure I get this. Let me make sure I end up getting this right, too, because I could get it wrong. He ended up eliminating Cody Rhodes. He ended up eliminating Big Daddy V. He ended up throwing Mick Foley, which I thought was pretty cool to see Triple H and Mick Foley go at it because 8 years prior to this, they fought in the street fight in the same arena at the same event, and so that was really cool. And that was back at Royal Rumble 2000, and then obviously they had the blow off where Triple H beat him in the street fight for the WWE Championship, and then they had the blow off match at No Way Out in a Hell in a Cell match, where Triple H ended up beating him there, and then he threw Mick Foley into Elijah Burke, and then Triple H hits a pedigree on Umaga. Batista had been Samoan spiked and ended up rolling up underneath the bottom rope. And then we had number 30. It ended up being none other than Monday Night Raw's John Cena. John Cena had been out of action since October due to a pectoral muscle injury and had to vacate the WWE Championship. And he was probably, and it had been rumored that he was most likely going to miss WrestleMania. And when he came out, the arena popped. Like, the arena exploded. And then, obviously, once he got into it and started wrestling, he got booed. So, yes, John Cena still got booed back in 2008, 10 years ago today. It wasn't nearly as much boos as he probably gets now, and it's probably I would say like now he still gets booed, but he definitely was still booed. And then so then we had Monday Night Raw's John Cena, and John Cena eliminated Carlito. He eliminated Mark Henry, I know he eliminated him. I just want to make sure I get these in order. He eliminated Chavo Guerrero. And then it comes down to the final 6. It ended up being Mr. Kennedy, Kane, Triple H, Batista, John Cena, and somebody else. Mr. Kennedy, Batista, and Kane, I think I said. Let me think. So John Cena, Triple H, Mr. Kennedy, Kane. Hold on. Let me do this again. Kane, Batista, Mr. Kennedy, Triple H, John Cena, and I'm missing somebody. The final, I know it was like a final 6. I forget who it was, but Batista comes in the win, and he hits a spear on I think it was Umaga. He hits a spear on Umaga. He ends up eliminated Mr. Kennedy. He eliminates Umaga, and then it's down to the final 4. And the final 4 was Batista, Kane, John Cena, and Triple H, which was kind of cool because they were kind of like the big stars, except for maybe Kane, but he was a big enough star. And Kane tried to hit a double choke slam on Triple H and Batista, and Triple H and Batista both eliminated Kane, which obviously was an Evolution reunion. And then it's down to the final 3, Batista, Triple H, John Cena. I thought this was a really cool moment because this was all the biggest stars. Well, Triple H really wasn't one of the biggest. Well, Triple H, the biggest star probably of the Ruthless Aggression era. Batista and John Cena also pretty big stars. John Cena, the face of the WWE. Batista does the his pose where he puts his thumbs up and then puts his thumbs down at both men. John Cena does the "You can't see me" at every taunt at everybody, and then Triple H does the "You suck it" chant, and everybody starts going at it with each other. Batista hits a spine buster on Cena and Triple H, and then Batista goes for the Batista bomb on Cena. Cena hits a big back body drop, and then Triple H hits a clothesline on Batista, eliminated him, and I think Batista might have lasted the longest in this match. Let me double check on that, because I'm not sure if that's necessarily true. And yeah, it was true. Batista lasted the longest in this match. He lasted, gotta find him. He lasted 37 minutes and 40 seconds. So he lasted the longest out of anybody in this match. And the shortest was Santino Marella at 25 seconds. I mean, I know you can say, like, actually, no. Yeah, Batista, let me just make, oh, no, actually, I'm on here. The shortest entrant was Shelton Benjamin at 18 seconds. So, there you go. But anyhow, then it was down to the final 2, Triple H, John Cena, which was kind of a cool moment because this is the first time these two had really faced off one-on-one with each other since WrestleMania 22 when John Cena tapped him out in the main event, which was a really bad match. And what's kind of ironic now is at the Greatest Royal Rumble event, both these two wrestlers are going to be facing each other, so this is kind of a strange scenario. And this is back when it's really weird, too, to see Triple H with the long hair after having the short hair so long, so it's really weird to see him back in 2008 with his long hair. But Cena and Triple H went at it for a while. They both hit a double clothesline on each other. They both tried to do each other's finishers. Triple H hit a DDT. John Cena hit his typical 5 moves of doom. And eventually, Cena went for the FU, it was called at the time. Triple H went for the pedigree, and then Cena turned it into the FU and eliminated Triple H. And this obviously, John Cena ended up winning the Royal Rumble, which was obviously he was booed in this match, which was kind of strange because once everybody, I think everyone like popped when he came out because they didn't expect to see John Cena there, but then once he got into the ring and started wrestling, he got hated. So I thought that was kind of strange. And obviously, it made sense for John Cena to win because he had just returned, and it was after a big injury and stuff. It made sense for him to win this match, and he was obviously the most likely chance. It would have been dumb to put him in this match just to have him lose. So it made sense. And obviously, this led to John Cena obviously challenging for the WWE Championship against Randy Orton, which made sense. Randy Orton took out John Cena due to injury, kayfabe-wise anyways. So John Cena didn't want to wait till WrestleMania, though. He wanted to do it at the next pay-per-view, No Way Out, which Randy Orton got himself DQ'd, and this allowed Triple H to win an Elimination Chamber match to become the #1 contender to the WWE Championship. And then John Cena, Triple H, and Randy Orton all fought in a triple threat match for the title, where Randy Orton won. And that was pretty much where everybody went. And let's short-term wise, let's go over now everybody where they are now. Let's talk about the commentators first, since I kind of broke them down first. So Jim Ross runs his own podcast and does occasional commentary with New Japan and WWE and other indie companies. Jerry the King Lawler also runs his own podcast and will occasionally come back to do the panels for pay-per-views and stuff. Michael Cole was the lead play-by-play commentator on Monday Night Raw. Jonathan Coachman ended up leaving for ESPN, and he just recently came back and is one of the color commentators on Monday Night Raw. Joey Styles, I actually don't really exactly know where he is. I believe he's doing indie commentary, and he has his own podcast as well. And Taz runs his own podcast. He ended up leaving and went in 2009 and commentated for TNA for a while. And then obviously after he left TNA in 2015, he ended up running his own podcast. And then as for where everybody else is, Undertaker ended up winning the Elimination Chamber match and wrestling Edge at WrestleMania 24 for the World Heavyweight Championship, which made sense since Undertaker and Edge had been feuding for a while for the championship, and he ended up beating Edge for the title. Undertaker and Edge got into the feud until SummerSlam 2008, where Taker beat Edge in a Hell in a Cell match to blow off the feud. And then obviously Undertaker now is pretty much a part-time wrestler. Shawn Michaels is now retired. He had his retirement match at WrestleMania 26 against The Undertaker in a Streak versus Career match. Santino Marella is currently retired. The Great Khali pretty much trains people now. Hardcore Holly is, I think, wrestling at indie shows. Yep, he's working indies. John Morrison's in Impact Wrestling. Tommy Dreamer was pretty much kind of a free agent. He either wrestled in hardcore in House of Hardcore, TNA/GFW, or sometimes in WWE. Batista's an actor. He ended up wrestling Umaga at WrestleMania 24 and defeated him. And Hornswoggle's is working indies. Chuck Palumbo, I have no clue where he is. He is an American mechanic and a reality television personality, which is kind of strange. Jamie Noble is an agent backstage. CM Punk, obviously, ironically enough, CM Punk in 2011 had his really big push where he was the voice of the voiceless, and he did the whole in Summer of Punk thing and held the WWE Championship for 434 days, longer than anyone in the modern era, and then obviously ended up retiring in 2014, and then obviously now he's pretty much wrestling for the UFC. He's about to have his second fight fairly soon. Cody Rhodes is a huge star on the indies. Umaga's fortunately passed away. I have no clue what happened to Snitsky, actually. Snitsky is, I guess, doing indies. He just recently, in 2014, he was recently in TNA, which I forgot about. The Miz is still there. He's been multiple time Intercontinental United States and WWE champion. And when you watch this match, you never would have thought the Miz would be as good as he is, like as big of a star, because he everything's just much different now. Shelton Benjamin is he was released in 2010, wrestled in the Indies, and he recently came back in 2017, and now is kind of in the same spot that he was in. Superfly Jimmy Snuka and Roddy Piper unfortunately passed away, which is strange to think. I mean, not as much with Snuka, but Piper, it really is strange to think that he's passed away, because you never would. Sometimes you never would guess it. Kane is there in a part-time role pretty much. He's going to be running for governor of Knoxville. Carlito is doing indies. Mick Foley is a free agent and a legend. He's a part-timer pretty much. He'll kind of show up on special appearances. Mr. Kennedy's doing indies. Big Daddy V has passed away. Mark Henry just recently went into the Hall of Fame, and he's doing some backstage stuff. Chavo Guerrero's working indies. Finley's an agent backstage. Elijah Burke is... I actually don't know where he is right now. He's still a TNA commentator or GFW Impact. Triple H is now the COO, and John Cena is a part-timer. Ironically enough, Cena and Triple H, like I said, are facing each other tonight. So that's where everybody is now. Overall, like I said, I definitely would recommend. I didn't really get my thoughts on the Rumble match. The Rumble match actually is a pretty good Rumble match. I don't think it's one of the best Rumble matches, but it's definitely not one of the worst. It definitely has some highlights in it, like Snuka and Piper coming out, Taker and Shawn Michaels altercation in this match, John Cena's return, which really makes the Rumble match, Mick Foley and Triple H's altercations, but it does have some low points in it, where just people are just kind of doing stuff, and it kind of, and obviously the stuff that went down with Finley and Hornswoggle really wasn't all that great in this match. But this definitely has some hype. But I definitely would recommend watching this Royal Rumble match. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Really have nothing left to say. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video, you guys will get the notification for it. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.